So when you're not at home and you have a flare-up, what happens?
When I was younger, I couldn't tell when I was going to have a flare-up. It would just happen, and I would be in severe pain, having to leave family events or friends' houses, or just having to go home no matter where I was, no matter what was happening, how important it was to go home and just sit in this pain for days. But now I can identify what the symptoms are before I know I'm going to have a big flare. I will, sometimes before I have a big flare, I'm not even in pain for a while. I can tell because I get nauseous, randomly nauseous, and I will have bad insomnia, which might not sound like it correlates at all, but I think it's just my body, my brain, like waking up my body and being like, hey, this is gonna be bad. You feel like you're being stabbed. Like, I have felt in those moments, especially before I was diagnosed, that I was going to die. Like, there was something inside me that was like, I don't know, doing something.
Yeah, she had the diagnoses. We keep saying that because it's important to realize, like,
Yeah.
They found something. They found that bad tissue, took it out, and she was just in horrific pain. Had to take an ambulance to the ER, and I met her there. And after a bit, and they were fantastic, by the way. There was a couple doctors there who were fully believing you and everything, just trying whatever they could. I mean, I'm talking trying pain meds, like even they said, let's try fentanyl, which is insane, right? And it just was barely, it just couldn't do it. But she'd be in the hospital, up like this, screaming, like, I'm sorry, but like a fucking lunatic, screaming. And I remember this doctor was like, what do you feel, Sophia? Tell me. This is one that really believed it. You know, like, I feel like someone's stabbing me, like, how? And she'd scream till the pain was so bad she'd pass out. And this would happen over and over. And not all the staff even knew to, look for this. After a while, my husband and I got good at it. I'm like, oh shoot, here she goes. She's gonna fall. Can't let her fall off. And it ended up she couldn't walk anymore. And so they kind of assuming it grew over her, what nerves?
My nerves, my pelvic nerves or something.
Nerves, yeah.
The endometriosis grew over that is what they suspected, to the point where I couldn't walk.
Oh, you couldn't. You'd have to get right to the wheelchair to go to the bathroom. Yeah.
That was scary because I never thought that could happen with this disease.
Mm-hmm.
And even after the diagnosis, this was happening.
Yeah.
And I couldn't walk. And you would think that there would be some sort of cure.
We had an appointment lined up for another pediatric gynecologist through Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. It was just a virtual appointment, so we're in the hospital. She's at this all-time high of pain and now can't walk. And the telehealth appointment was then. So the ER doctors, the hospital doctors, because you were admitted, and the gynecologist on the the telehealth thing start talking to each other. And they agreed that there's a drug called Orilissa. And if you hear about this, like some people hear about it, it's the devil, get off of it, it's going to ruin you, which is kind of the case for a lot of meds. But this is a really serious one. It's supposed to put her in a medically induced menopause. And because the birth controls weren't doing it. So they made that agreement together. We started it. And
well, I'd just like to add that we had to sign a lot of forms because I was one of the first children, first people under 18 to ever take this medication.
Mm-hmm. And we would never have allowed it, but every other thing they were trying wasn't working. So they can't just let you sit there and scream and wither away.
And this was something that I can still have children. They can stop the menopause.
Yeah.
Just by stopping the medicine.
Right.
And that was important.
It's also a tricky disease because some women could be stage 5 and have no pain, or stage 4 or 5. I don't know if it was up to 5.
Yep.
And they thought was like, the doctor who did the surgery said like probably one, maybe 2, and her pain was like, off the charts.
And to be at that stage at 13 years old is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It just...
And I think a lot of it's that age is why it's hard for them to take you so seriously, because let's face it and admit it, a lot of teenagers do exaggerate. Yeah, which is not in your favor.
Mom, you were a teen when you were diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. How did you explain to others your disease, and how do you think that correlates to how I explain my disease? Just like the time difference, I guess. We were around the same age.
Yeah.
You were like a couple years younger.
I mean, my advantage is that diabetes is a well-known disease, where yours isn't. But it's also type 2 is what you usually hear about. And type 1 just, it's harder to explain, I guess, especially when you're a kid. And I remember one of the first people I told was my neighbor. And so I was with my best friend and the neighbor, and I will never forget it. And she said, "You have diabetes?" And she started running away from me. And I was pretending to like, "Stop it." I still remember this, but it really, really hurt. And she kept going, "Gross, get away. I don't want it." And that was horrific, but I guess that doesn't really help my scenario since she's just thinking type 2. It's hard. You're so hormonal then, and you're so young, and you're so not confident, and kids can be vicious.
I had a similar story.
Yeah.
I remember telling one of my friends, and they didn't know what endometriosis was. Obviously, like, you're a teenager, you shouldn't know what that is. And then when I explained it, they were like, "Ew, you have spider webs in you?" Like, and then they started talking about sex and how nobody would ever want to do that. And that, I was like 14, and that killed me as well. Because they were like, "Is it contagious?
Yeah,
Did you do something? Is this something, like, what?" And I still remember that conversation, because I remember after thinking nobody could ever love me because I was infected inside.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
So the wild thing about this disease, someone in our family had stage 4 or 5, whatever it is, the worst. Didn't know she had it, managed to get pregnant, which they weren't sure if she ever could, and it took quite a while, and she got pregnant. But when you get pregnant, it brings this disease back down to 0. I don't totally understand that. I guess because when you have a baby, everything's coming out. Maybe that's why it like lets all the tissue that can't get out. You get what I'm saying? And now she has 5 kids. So that's amazing. You know, They told her when she first got pregnant, if you want more than one child, like, you should just keep going. Don't take a break, because it just allows it to grow back.
Yeah.
And so that's a happy story, but it's pretty bizarre.